First of all, we've never seen anything like this in our sport that I can remember, that there's been a coaching change of this magnitude in season. Can you explain what went through your mind and not just leaving that opportunity, but taking this one and certainly the timing was an obstacle.
The timing wasn't ideal at all. I can tell you this: I would have never pulled the trigger like I had to. Jamie was very clear when the interview process started. That said that, you know what, if you want this because of what we've got going on with NLI guys and so forth, that this has got to happen in the next 2 weeks. And so I had a decision to make. Do I let it go or do I not let it go? And ultimately, what made my decision is my staff at Virginia Tech. I mean, Tony Roby, Mike Zadek, and Derek St. John. Those guys have been doing the lion's share of the work in the room, and I'm not worried about them. And if you saw the way we competed against Nebraska Sunday night after all hell broke loose on Saturday afternoon with this story, just shows you how strong they are and how much they believe in those three guys. So I didn't like the timing of it, but I was never worried about Virginia Tech. I mean, we've put in 11 years of hard work to make them that tough, and they're pretty darn tough.
What do you think when the football coach shows up at your door?
You know what? He might have set a precedent in recruiting now, or in hiring coaches. Everybody, if they're going to want to, I think he raised the bar. Now everybody that wants to hire a coach anymore might have to bring their football coach or their basketball coach. But that was when he called me and told me that the day before. I'm like, wow, that's really kind of unusual. There must be some method to his madness there. But obviously, the fact that coach just moved here a year and a half, 2 years ago, was probably a really wise move on his part.
We hear what a recruiter that Matt Campbell is. What kind of pitch did he put on you?
He just told me, he just said, all the great things, kind of behind the scenes at Iowa State, and that's not facility, just people, the family type atmosphere, and really tried to make my family comfortable.
Can you kind of outline now what the next month will look for you? I mean, probably recruiting heavy.
Mostly recruiting, and then when the NCAA tournament gets over, the next priority will be staff. I'm going to get the paperwork to get a regional training center set up here soon, and that's going to be, that's, even though there's only a few words in those statements, that's a lot of work. Recruiting especially.
What do you think this does in-state, Iowa State, Iowa?
Oh, I think it jazzes things up a bit, don't you think? I think it's going to jazz things up. And like I said, I respect the heck out of Tom and Terry Brands. I might give them a hard time, but we grew up together, and they've given me hard times before, and I'm going to give them hard times. And, if they think I'm doing something that they don't like, they'll probably call me out on it, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, I respect the heck out of them. And if we can get our program competing tooth and nail with Iowa every year, especially knowing what I know and who they've got coming to Iowa City the next couple of years, we're going to be right there.
You talked the word CEO. Mm-hmm. That was brought up several times. Can you explain what that means now in college wrestling?
Well, I think if you want to compete at the highest level, you have to manage a lot of things. So you're managing your team, you're managing your staff, you're managing postgraduates, you're managing fundraising, donors, fan base. That stuff I've all managed already.
In here.
Let me just introduce. I'm Bill Stewart. I've worked the bench in wrestling since '58.
Oh my gosh! Well, we're keeping you. We're not firing you. You're staying on, all right? You're staying on, all right?
I know you hit on a little bit of the Iowa rivalry. How important is that for you to kind of get that back off the ground?
Well, I remember watching it as a kid, so it was fun, and that's what Let's face it, we're in the entertainment business, and we have to put a good product out there, and we know Iowa's going to have a good product out there, so that needs to come back. And I can't say enough about it. It's one of the greatest rivalries in college wrestling, and I mean, I've seen Iowa State get a pin at heavyweight in the late '70s when they weren't supposed to win. I came in here as a senior in 1986, and we had 5 national champs on our team and 1 runner-up. And Iowa State beat us here in a dual meet when Jim Gibbons was the coach. So I've seen some crazy stuff happen at Hilton Coliseum and Carver Hawkeye, and that's that will bring the excitement back. And obviously Doug Schwab at UNI is doing great things. I can't say enough about him. He's going to be, it's going to be a 3-way instead of a 2-way.
No, you had some trouble scheduling, getting Tom on the schedule before. Are you excited to be able to?
Well, I think he has to schedule me now,
Yeah.
but I think more than anything, I think Tom, obviously what happened at Virginia Tech and when Tom left Virginia Tech in terms of how the athletic director chose to release him or not release him probably is a lot where that comes from. He probably thinks that I still had something to do with that, but I can tell you getting hired 11 years ago at Virginia Tech as a high school coach was much different than getting hired here. My AD gave me zero latitude when I got hired at Virginia Tech, and that's not saying anything negative about him. His words were, I'll take care of the releases and not releases. Obviously, this new guy here has given me full throttle in terms of how to handle situations like that. But no, I mean, obviously I was frustrated last year with the way the national duels things floated out, but this isn't. I respect the heck out of them, and there's nothing wrong with saying that I want to beat them, and I want to beat them. So.
How much will this add to that individual rivalry, I guess, between just you two?
I think, probably going to add some rivalry to it, but that's good. I played Monopoly with them, I played checkers with them, I played tennis with them, so they didn't like to lose in those either, and neither did I. So.
Hey, Kevin, you guys have made such a living on recruiting out there, VT, with PA kids, Ohio kids, the kids in that region of the country as well, Florida, Georgia, and so on and so forth. Where do you anticipate your base being here?
USA, I hope. USA, all right? And that's kind of what we got to the point at Virginia Tech. I really felt last year, after getting fourth, the last year and a half was the first time we could call kids and say, hey, this is Coach Stresser from Virginia Tech, and boom, we're automatically in their top 4, top 5. And I think we'll have the same thing here right now. I'm not worried about that. The hard part is no matter where you're at, once you get in that top 4 and you have that kind of power when you call a kid, you're usually competing against Iowa, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Ohio State, and so forth. So I always say getting second in recruiting sucks. Getting second at the Nationals we'd probably take right away, but getting second in recruiting really is not where you want to be, because that means you got last. So.
How important is it to be able to tell the story of the program? You built a story at Virginia Tech that you could sell, but you told the story about coming and watching Chris Taylor. You've got that story to lean on and build.
I just think the tradition here, I mean, look at Dan Gable, Cale Sanderson, the Gibbonses. I mean, you can just go on and on and on with the great wrestlers that have been at Iowa State. And why wouldn't any young kid want to come and wrestle in that environment where you get to wrestle and you can be a legend just like those guys are. And I think the facilities are probably a little bit better than when Gable was here, you think? Okay.
Do you plan on being in the practice room here at all during the next month, or?
Not till after the NCAA tournament. Nope, I'm going to let them do their thing, and I don't think it's fair to the coaching staff. I don't think it's fair to the athletes. When the NCAA tournament's over, then I'll get back involved and kind of see what I've got, because really, right now it's what I've got, but soon it'll be what we've got, because I don't have a we yet. I'm the Lone Ranger right now, and I got to get some deputies here pretty soon.
You talked about beating Iowa, but Big 12 play is so crucial, obviously. Oklahoma State, one of those top teams. What do you think of the Big 12 right now?
Well, when you say Iowa, you say Oklahoma State too, because John Smith's a legend, and I mean, look at the team they've got this year. They're ranked second in the nation. I think Iowa's ranked third. And hence, those three you're going to always have to compete with. I mean, those three are always going to be in the hunt. They're three, and obviously what Tom Ryan's doing at Ohio State. So, to keep a team in the top 5 is incredibly hard. And that's what we've got to get to. But that's exciting now, and that's the challenge I'm looking for to get us consistently at that point.
Growing up in Humboldt, were you a in-town kid? Were you a farm kid?
I was an in-town kid. Yep.
And how did that community kind of shape you?
Well, it's northwest Iowa, and Humboldt was a great place to grow up, and they love the Cyclones, and they love the Hawkeyes, and as I got older, they loved the Panthers. So very loyal, hard-working people, and that's where my roots were. And the opportunity to go on a recruiting trip to all 3 of them as a senior in high school was pretty darn good. So ultimately, I chose Iowa because I just felt like it was the place at that time that was kind of, I think when I got to Iowa, they'd already won their 4th NCAA championship in a row. And so that was alluring. And then there's this guy named Joe Gibbons that I don't know if I could ever beat, so I wouldn't want to go be on the bench at Iowa State. So that narrowed it down.
How much did having a brother that wrestled a little bit younger I know we wrestled at
That's
Buena Vista.
that's great.
Help you.
Yep. I mean, obviously, when you got a brother that's year younger, we grew up wrestling and fighting and wrestling and fighting and wrestling and fighting. And now we just go out to dinner a lot. We don't do that anymore.
When you look at